can't give what you don't have. When you are talking about integrity, you are really talking about the real person, who that person is.
When you talk of integrity, you talk of honesty. To be honest. And to be honest means to be trustworthy, to be truthful. And politics is science and art of government.
Politics is about the people.
Yes.
And if you talk about it in a deeper sense, it has to do with how people take decisions on how to lead themselves.
Good day, viewers. All right, while the presidential and National Assembly elections were concluded, the governorship and state assembly polls suffered a setback in 17 states and the Federal Capital Territory. On Saturday, 23rd of March 2019, INEC conducted supplementary elections for places declared inconclusive, except for Rivers and Adamawa states. Also last week, the tribunal declared that PDP's Ademola Adeleke winner of Osun governorship election and ordered the withdrawal of the certificate of return issued to Boyega Oyetola of the APC. The court also ordered that a new certificate of return be issued to Mr. Ademola Adeleke of the APC. These will form a topic of discussion for today. It's my pleasure to welcome you to today's edition of Christians in Politics. I am Charles Philip Owakolam, and I have with me in the studio the Venerable Joseph Unoyan, head of the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion Observers Team. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, welcome. And also we have Otumba Dapo Olaoshebikon. He is the managing director, Newsport Online newspaper. You're highly welcome, sir.
It's a pleasure.
All right, we shall be reviewing the supplementary elections and the tribunal decision on Osun election. But first of all, let's take a quick look at this video before we proceed with our discussions.
From the foregoing, Barrister Simon Bako Lalong of APC, having satisfied the requirements of law and scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared the winner and is in turn elected.
That Samuel I. Otom of PDP, having satisfied the requirements of the law and scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
Ganduje Abdullahi Umar of All Progressive Congress, having satisfied the requirement of the law and scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
The tribunal has delivered this judgment.
No, your lawyer is...
And this judgment reassures Nigerians that there is no point resorting to violence. The tribunals, the courts are there to right the wrong. Today, the people of Osun State, the people of Nigeria have seen that the judiciary has vindicated what we have said about Osun. That is the last hope of the common man. Osun State will now see a governance that will take it to the right direction.
That's now we have two judgments just delivered by the panel of judges, and in an election, in a governorship election matter, we have the opportunity of moving the case up to Supreme Court. So we have two different judgments on ground. One judge declared PDP candidate as the winner, while the other declared the run in disputed polling units. So I'm sure our party will approach this with the Court of Appeal for, for the final declaration on this matter.
From the foregoing,
to remind you again that court ordered that Senator Ademola Adeleke of the PDP should be given a certificate of return and be withdrawn. The same certificate be withdrawn from Boyega Oyetola of the APC. But before we go to that Osun tribunal decision, I want to hear from you, Venerable Joseph Funaya. You are an election observer. What did you observe from the supplementary elections? What is your observation generally?
Well, I think the supplementary election have come and gone, and it was a good outing as far as I'm concerned for INEC. A lot of improvement in terms of logistics, in terms of arriving of INEC officials at polling centers. I think there was significant improvement. But I also, we also observed that there were some pockets of violence, especially in Kano. Kano was exceptional. You see people with machetes chasing voters away from police centers. There were even some media houses that did some recordings, and some law enforcement agents stop them, forcefully make them to delete those things they recorded so that they cannot have evidence to prove their point, which was not healthy at all. Well, it's expected. I keep talking about the issue of Nigeria factor, which is an unfortunate issue we are dealing with in this very country. One would have expected that if election was done and they were declared inconclusive as a result of either violence or one thing or the other, as the case where in some states, that people should go out with the mind to make sure everything comes out peacefully and normally the way it ought to be. Okay. But it's like it was opportunity for some desperate politicians to go and re-strategize on how they can unleash their terror on people again. Kano State was a major reference point. But in all, I think it was a good outing. The fear people generally have been expressing since mostly after the general election, the presidential election, is that votes are not counting. And I keep saying no. As an observer, as an insider, the more we continue to emphasize the fact that votes are not counting, the more we encourage voter apathy. Vote is counting. INEC is doing their best to ensure that they are fair to all. But we have two problems in our hands. Politicians that are desperate, ready to frustrate every effort, every good effort, just to get what they want. And sometimes you find that the government in power at some time want to use their power to forcefully get some particular areas where they have special interest. This is the two things Nigerians need to deal with. For government to allow INEC to be as free as the name suggests, they should be allow them to operate independently without any undue influence, or the government in power to refrain from using security personnel to intimidate people and forcefully want to take over some portions of the country where they are having interest, and for Nigerians to have a rethink about our desperation to take it all. Once those two things are looked into and there's adjustment, I think we'll continue to have a better outing. But generally, okay, I think the supplementary election was good. The fear of people have been allayed because you can see that, when the elections were declared inconclusive, there was a kind of a trade in the thoughts of people that most of the states where this thing was declared inconclusive were states where one political party PDP seems to be leading. And that it was declared inconclusive by INEC because they want to manipulate it. But the result now, I think to a large extent, has exonerated INEC and proved that point wrong. You can see those states like Benue and Sokoto, now some of these people, PDP coming up, and APC also taking over in some states. So I think we should begin to learn to give the benefit of the doubt and move forward as a nation. All
right. Okay, I will still come back to you though, but let me go to Otumba. Otumba, you're a journalist, and I want to know from the supplementary elections, is there anything you would like to add as what you observed during the elections?
Well, I will be towing the line of the Venerable Joseph, but there is an aspect of it that I did not talk about.
Okay.
You don't have a woman fighting. There has to be two or three or more.
Yeah.
And then there must be a cause. And that is the one that even in all the television programs that I watched, you find that one not really being emphasized. Okay. Why is it that people who want to instigate people to go and kill just because we want to get a political office, we should be for service and not for self-enrichment. That's one. So if we look at that and without juxtapose it, what's happened, it may be understandable. For instance, you mentioned Kano. People tend to forget history. Kano has this history of, we're not going to take it if you do it wrong.
Yeah.
It started in 1953, the Kano riot. And if you look at the way the former Minister of Education took over from Kwankwaso before he came back, you will now know that they have an idea of what they want to do. And so when people want to when leaders want to take people for granted, like in Kano or Oyo State, those two areas, you find it difficult. But in all, I think the supplementary elections, were a little bit, they allayed fears, like you said, of the federal government trying to muscle up the opposition.
Okay, just to, I have a release from the report released by the EU mission, the observation mission, observers mission, I beg your pardon. I would like to read out some of the notes for the benefit of the viewers. Extensive electoral security problems were observed in some areas. Group of men with weapons intimidating and obstructing the process. Security agencies ineffective at protecting citizens' right to vote. Parts of Kano were inaccessible to EU observers and citizen observers. Journalists were also obstructed. EU also observed the increased interference by party agents and the case of vote buying. They also observed parties pressurizing voters and disrupting the process. These are just few of the reports, few extracts from their reports. Now, from here, we are seeing the case of vote buying, case of party agents interfering with the electoral process, then weapons like you have already mentioned. I want to know what should be from this report from the EU, what should be obtainable now and what shouldn't be. Some oppositions that lost, especially in Kano and other states, do they have case here? What should and shouldn't be obtainable? Let me start from you.
Okay. I have come out here before now to condemn the group of so-called presidential aspirants who went on air to begin to pressurize Atiku Abubakar not to go to court to seek redress. I feel that there was something completely wrong in their reasoning. The court is there to arbitrate in matters where some people feel they are cheated. If you prevent people from going to court to resolve issue, you are only promoting anarchy directly or indirectly. So, if the people who contested genuinely feel that something went wrong in one way or the other, they have the right to go to court to seek for redress. We will discuss about Osun later, as you have already said, and that is an eye-opener for people. And when you, from the video you played at the beginning, you heard the comment of the lawyer of Senator Adeleke, when he said, what has happened has shown to Nigeria that you don't need to fight and kill yourself over anything. And if somebody wants to snatch ballot box, take note of it, if possible, record it, and use it as evidence in court. And the judiciary will be there to interpret what has happened and give their judgment. So I want to encourage that anyone who feels aggrieved should seek redress, seek for justice, using the laid down procedure. Okay.
Well, before I go to Otumba, we have a caller, Victor from Kaduna. Victor, are you there?
The issue of the Kano election is not a function of what has not happened before, or a subject of what has not happened before. We all know that electoral processes is actually encumbered with violence in Nigeria. So, but this government said they actually have put in place a security mechanism whereby they have curbed to an extent, because we never had military presence like this ever in elections. And now that you are holding supplementary elections in those 5 states, it should be assumed that the security presence will be able to do more justice than when the whole nation was actually embarking on election. But be as it may, what will suggest to a state or to the nation, either from the top or from whatsoever, why will they remove the police chief in Kano that did a wonderful job before the supplementary election and bring in one Michael from nowhere that now allowed a free-for-all mayhem? When the first election was held, there was no mayhem like this, and there was somebody that was in charge of the security apparatus in Kano State. Now they brought in somebody else for the supplementary election, and all hell was let loose. I am not a Hausa man, but the Kano people are Nigerians. The lives that were lost, our head arrests have been made. From the way forward, who will be held responsible? Because some people sponsor these people. If we keep on talking about the issue of the fact that electoral violences, there were skirmishes here, there were this, there were that, and nobody is held responsible. See, this is Uhuru. Next time it will still happen.
Victor, can I ask you something?
Accountable. If we are moving forward, we should hold people accountable. And truly, I say, Kaduna, it's a shambolic election. Even the international observers, they said it all. We cannot declare a governor. I don't care whether PDP or APC wins, but the process was shambolic.
Okay, Victor, are you saying that the ineffectiveness of the security agencies was deliberate? Hello, can you hear me? Sorry, are you saying that the ineffectiveness of the security agencies, especially in Kano, where there was cases of men with weapons intimidating and obstructing the electoral process, are you saying that was deliberate, removing the police chief and bringing another man? Are you saying it was deliberate to probably have election malpractices?
So the truth about it is that whereby people are scared to go and vote, then that means automatically some people's right to vote was actually denied. And according to the Electoral Act, if people were denied ability to go and vote or to cast their vote when they have a valid PVC, that election is not supposed to be according to the Electoral Act. So why declare a governor?
No.
All right.
I would like to comment, because when on this, I will, pardon me to say that I'm a trained political scientist.
Okay.
Trained.
Okay.
And I will not come on ACNN to make what they call value judgment. And that is one of the reasons that we have, even in the media. I think I was trying to toe a line before, because you don't talk of election violence. There's no smoke without a fire.
Okay.
We've not talked about why do people want to go and die because of election? Because election in Nigeria guarantees you to become a millionaire, instant millionaire. I don't know whether you had the opportunity of watching the Speaker of House of Commons last week. It was Vara. And we just going, putting on his, like you young people, his laptop, and he was being interviewed in the streets. No flowing agbada, no multi-billion, SUVs and whatever. It is the perception of the people that when you get there, you grab it all. You have all what it takes. You appropriate everything to yourself. And when you are there, you don't want to leave for that moment. And then you instigate people to go and start fighting. So if we don't treat that, we may not be able to know what happened. We may not be able to treat very well.
Yeah, I think you can see he is trying to deal with the root cause of this.
Yes.
And actually, that is one of the areas we need to look at.
Absolutely.
Yes. Even the idea of a winner takes it all is something we need to look into.
Okay.
Then the cost of election is another issue. When some people go borrow money, invest, and they see that if they don't do something on election day, their investment will just go down.
Absolutely.
So those are the part of the root cause we need to deal with. And that may involve some constitutional amendments in the Electoral Act and all that. But to respond directly to the caller on the issue of accountability, I think the government in power, without any apology, should be held accountable. See, I watched so many clips where people were interviewed in the street, common people, and everyone was commending the role that the Commissioner of Police played during the general election and all that. But why should such a person be removed? It's only in this country you see you reward good with evil. I think that policeman, that police chief that was removed, commissioner, was a role model that other people should, policemen should look up to. I would have expected that that man should be commended instead of whether, I don't know what has happened to him, I have not kept track of that, but the mere fact that he was removed because some party people were clamoring for his removal and he was actually removed was wrong. And now you can see another person was brought in and there was a free-for-all fight in the street for people, with people holding matches, fighting along the road on election day. It was not good. I don't think that the present person did enough. But talking about whether it is deliberate or not deliberate, well, that is a question also that the government in power should answer, because whether election or no election, there is a government that is running. And that government have responsibility to the citizens. Okay. You cannot say because it's election day, the government in the land should collapse. They should be able to secure life and property of people. So if there's laxity in that area, the person to be held accountable is the government in power. And the officers that, you see, a security agency don't act without order. There's somebody commanding. The chief of police that was posted there, he should be held accountable for what happened. Why is it that his predecessor could make the place calm? Now he came to take over, there was this confusion and fighting in the street. And I don't know as of today how many people have been arrested, how many people have been charged to court over what happened on the during the supplementary election. If no people have not been arrested, people have not been charged by now, then that alludes to the point he was. I mean, was it you were the one who raised the point whether it was deliberate?
Deliberate, yes. Okay. Before I want us to compare and contrast the supplementary election and the March 9th election, the crisis encountered, and not especially Kano now, but generally everywhere. What do we have to say, and including the logistics of the INEC staff now, their arrival and starting of elections? What can we say about it? Was it better now, or was it the same? What can we say, Otumba?
I think the first election of 23rd of March, that was what I would call preparation fright for INEC.
Okay.
And I think within that one week, they were able to, to remodel their path. But the fact remains that the two elections there are pockets of violence here and there, with the former having more extensive, more combustive violence almost in all the states that were predicted. About 6 of them predicted that there could be flashpoints.
Okay.
So, but in all, the last election, because it was relatively, in terms of logistics, manpower, you couldn't have compared that one with what happened. It was better.
Okay.
From the point of view of INEC should be commended for that.
Yeah, I know when you were talking about comparison, I wanted to say there's no even basis for comparison, because the presidential election was the nationwide something, and the state House of Assembly own, even though some states are now on what we call off-season election, you still discuss almost a nationwide. It was a nationwide exercise. The supplementary election was just localized in some spot. One should expect a difference. That is why that of Kano really amazes me, because we have a non-security hands to go around. So why should that be allowed to happen? So that is why the question of whether it was deliberately allowed to happen that way becomes a major question. Certainly, there were serious improvements, and it's expected in terms of logistics. You don't expect the confusion that occasioned the previous one, which was INEC have to distribute material to almost the whole country. You would expect it to happen.
Okay, now, especially, I want us to go to Kano again. From the report from the EU, I want to read that point again. Parts of Kano were inaccessible to EU observers and citizen observers. Journalists were also obstructed. I want to ask, what is the implication of this to the results that was collated? Does he have any? Can he spring up any decision, any punishment? What is the implication generally to this?
I think the implication is that you go to court. If you can prove your point, like it happened in Osun State, you could be vindicated. But I always have a different view about a lot of things. Even the one that you say that journalists were obstructed. I'm a journalist. At a point, I get disappointed about the way we were getting involved. Getting personal.
Okay.
As a journalist, you are supposed to go there, report, A did this, A did that. What is your opinion, people? Exactly. Not that you are now making it seem like
taking
positions.
Okay.
It's not. We are not trained like that. So in a way, EU is right. I mean, we can't contest that because it's open. But basically, you have a reprieve. I mean, and then you have another opportunity to prove your point. But let me come into it. We have particular history in Nigeria. This is not the first time that you have this general perception that the federal might or the government power. Please, I'm not a politician. In the PDP days, especially before 2011, the election you couldn't win. I'm sure the Venerable Joseph will agree with me. You couldn't win. If it was a PDP-controlled state, you were not going to win. So this is the perception that had actually, been elongated, and then we have to cut it. We have to begin to look for a way of making it not happen in our politics in future elections.
Yeah, on that, those areas, you see one major stakeholder was left out in EU's observation. Number one, as per the Electoral Act and the regulation governing election, journalists, domestic and international observers are supposed to have free access to observe the process. But EU report did not say something about party agents, which is a major critical stakeholder.
I think there is. I think there is increased interference by party agents
now,
and case of vote buying.
Now, they are talking about increased interference by party agents. Do you know the implication there? Observers are independent.
Okay.
Journalists are supposed to be independent, and these people were barred out. Party agents are critical stakeholders, and they have interest. Now, we are not told here now that party agents were kept out. If party agents are kept out, like the way it happened to observers and journalists, automatically that the result of such election in such areas is nothing to go by with. But if party agents were all there, it's expected that any collation that is done, all the party agents there will endorse. So if the party agents endorse this, whether the journalists were there or the observers were there, it cannot overturn the result. As far as the party agent, because they belong to three different political parties, all of them are critical stakeholders. If they all signed that the result at that polling unit was okay, fine. But it should be emphasized that on no ground should security agents disallow observers and journalists from covering such exercise. It's not right.
Wow. All right, viewers, we will be going on a very short break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about the Osun decision of the tribunal. Please stay with us.
The peace of the Lord be always with you.
It is indeed right. It is our duty and joy at all times and in all places to give you thanks and praise. Holy Father.
How well do you know the Anglican Church, her origin and historical facts? What do you know about the polity, colors, doctrinal practices, administrative structures, and seasons of the Church? Find answers to these on the Anglican Ambassador, a program aimed at shedding light on the Anglican ethos and celebrating its rich heritage. Coming soon on this station.
You raised him from the dead and exalted him to your home.
Why do we fall ill? Is it possible to stay without falling ill? Is God interested in our health? Can we get access to cheaper health anywhere? Do you want tips on how to stay healthy? Then join me, Angela Weze, on Health Watch every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. with repeat broadcasts on Thursday at 2 p.m. and Saturday at 1:30 p.m. as health experts provide answers to your questions on how to remain healthy physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually here on Anglican Cable Network Nigeria. God bless you.
You are welcome back, and thanks for staying tuned. Before we went on that break, we were talking about the supplementary election that happened last Saturday, the 23rd of March. All right, now we want to talk about the decision of the tribunal on Osun State election. Now, I want to start with you, Otumba, regarding the Osun State court order now. What should be the attitude of politicians regarding court verdict? When court gives its verdict, what should they do at that point? We've seen cases of some challenging court verdict already, but what should really be the should they accept the outcome? Should they accept the verdict?
You know, court has processes, and I always talk of history too. That court made a particular pronouncement, judgment, and it could be appealed against or for. We just have to wait so that we don't sound prejudicial. And if you remember, the governor of Abia State, his election was upturned at the tribunal level, but he got reprieve at the court in Abuja. Yes. Then the same thing Wike himself. I hope you remember. Then he got so it will be dicey for us here. Let us wait and see. But at least, like the lawyer said and the variable emphasized, it is good for politics, for a democracy. Okay. That at least somebody feels or felt that he's been wronged through during the electoral activity or process. Yes. And then the court said, yeah, okay, for what we've seen, I think you are right. The other guy was wrong. So let's wait until the appeal court, which is in this case is the last arbiter, yes. Makes a pronouncement. It may be hard for us to. Politicians should not be joyful yet. How they could just be. That's like, and Nigeria, don't forget, Nigeria is a very clumsy country.
Okay, I don't know if Venerable Joseph, you have something to add to that.
Just to say it's a good development for our democracy, and though we have been saying that we should not always, constitute courts in the media and begin to judge. Yes. Let the constitutional court on ground be the judge in matters like this. Okay. In the court of public opinion, majority believed that there was injustice in Osun. And as an election observer, I can tell you that the supplementary election that was done in Osun was just, I don't know how the word to describe it. And even observers were held to ransom and not allowed to observe. You remember, I was in this very studio with the director for Clean Foundation, yes, who reported that their own men, observers, were arrested, detained, or throughout the whole day, with the ID card, with the accreditation of INEC, and no one listened to them. And thereafter, we got reliable information that there were, I don't know whether it was all about in the media. Well, it's the court that can interpret that, and the people that were involved, that there was a kind of an arrangement. Yeah, I don't know whether you heard about the story about white handkerchief. Okay. That a particular political party asked their members to go to vote, and they should hold white handkerchief. And so when you are to pass security and you show white handkerchief, they allow you to pass. But if you are not having white handkerchief, even with your PVC, you will be denied. So it's good that the matter have gone to court, yes, and now we are hearing what we are hearing, but we cannot conclude until the whole process is completed. Okay. You can hear one of the spokesperson for APC said they were going to appeal. I mean, let's wait. There's a period for appeal. If the period elapses and there's no appeal, then PDP can go to the street and start jubilating their drums. But okay, if they appeal, they have to be patient and go through it again. Process. So a good case was that of Senator Mao Wambua in the last 2015 election. You see the number of times they went to the tribunal, they nullified the whole election, they went, did it again, he was declared, the man went to court again, and he won again. He appealed, and he won again. So the court is there to judge. So let's give the court the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, but what should be the position of INEC now? APC has taken it to appeal court, of course, but INEC, what are they to effect changes, or should they wait for appeal court?
I think, for me, I'm not a lawyer. Under normal circumstances, what ought to be is that when a court has given an order, that is the only subsisting order for now.
Okay.
It should be complied with. But in reality, you may discover that it's not as easy as that. If we don't pray we have a fight, if I'm having a fight with this my brother, and I'm sitting on this seat, and he says he wants to sit here, and he takes me to court, you, the judge, says he's the right person to sit here, and I'm saying, no, appeal means I don't agree with you, Mr. Judge. Yes. That is the meaning of an appeal. Oh, this judgment, you are telling this man to unseat me here, I'm not going to get up because I don't believe what you have just said is right. I'm going to the court that is higher than your court. So I expect him to be a little bit patient. Because in an attempt to want to force me out of the seat when I'm still contesting your judgment, there might be a tension, breach of peace. So if APC have gone to a court of appeal, let them exercise patience, keep their facts intact, and go there. Okay. I believe they can win if they can marshal their points again.
All right, now, but from this verdict, what should be said about the judicial system now of Nigeria? Are we going to say that judicial system can be trusted in matters as this? Can they be trusted, or can people easily, can they have that confidence in the judicial system going to them whenever there is such situations? Tumba.
I think basically the judiciary is there for to mediate.
We've had.
Yeah, I know. When I'm coming,
okay.
Let me.
Okay.
Now, if, for instance, the judiciary in one isolated case, like Oshun, there are other cases, was able to achieve this. The judiciary could be seen as the last hope of the common man. Okay. But we just have to wait. And apart from that, we've seen in some other situations whereby you have powerful people controlling the judiciary. It happened in the southwest where I come from. Sorry, I'm a Nigerian, but in the 2007 in the election where you have, I wouldn't want to go into that. So basically, what I'm saying is that the judiciary is supposed to be independent, fearless in delivering judgment, doing its own thing without pressure from any quarters. But then too, you have the appeal court, you have the Supreme Court. In this case, the thing does not go to the Supreme Court. Okay. It stops. Whatever the pronunciation the appeal court makes is final. So that's. But I think the judiciary should be trusted, or could be trusted too, in all situations, not just election.
Venerable, do you have anything to add, contrasting or in agreement, taking in consideration that sometimes we have cases of judges being labeled as having corrupt cases labeled against them now?
You see, judiciary left alone will be a very good institution. They are trained to do their job and they are paid to do their job. The problem we have is our desperate politicians. You see, it is not expected that a judge should be corrupt under normal circumstances.
Okay.
But how many people can resist the temptation of money? And these desperate politicians have amassed so much wealth that they can throw it at any person to get whatever they want. So the boss still stops at the doorstep of politicians who are desperate, who want to induce people with money, who want to tempt people with money. So for as long as the politicians are ready to do that, there will be pockets of people. You know how many judges we have in Nigeria today? Going across all the different layers of courts. So many, they are in thousands. So out of that, out of 12, there was Judah now. Please, if out of 12 you could find one Judah, you should expect that out of 1,000 judges, the number of Judahs you will also find among them. That is not to say that we should not trust the judiciary. And that is why the kind of affront against the judiciary in the past few years is something to be watched, where it seems as if the judiciary is being deliberately attacked, being disorganized, being threatened in a way that it ought not to be. So if, for instance, thank God the case of the chief judge is still ongoing, though it's not getting the kind of headlines supposed to be getting again now.
Okay.
Now, if a chief judge can be suspended the way he was suspended, then do you know the implication that has for a young judge whose mindset is to be a straightforward person? What it means is this: you are bringing some millions to a young judge who is still building up his life and his family. Here is millions being brought by people who have authority to suspend a chief judge. And they are saying, do it this way. We give you this as a reward. But if you don't take this and do it this way, get ready to face the music. It's a major thing that we need to look for. See, the only people that can make things go straight in this very country is the executive arm of government. If the executive arm of government is ready to allow things go well, things will be well in the judiciary, things will be well in the executive, things will be well at the legislative arm. I am chaplain to the National Assembly. You need to know the amount of influence the executive way on even the legislators, on whatever happens there. I was having a discussion with somebody yesterday talking about a person taking the commissioner of police, the person in question, the head of SARS in FCT, and there's one other principal police officer being taken to court. And what the person is seeking is that it's a criminal case. The person has involved himself in a criminal case and is running to court to take an injunction to restrain the commissioner and all these people. And the judge granted it. The person was asking me if that judge knows what he's doing. He believes the judge is part of the syndicate. If he knows what he's doing, he should know that without the police, no court can even implement any order. So if you are now restraining the commissioner of police, the head of SARS, and whether the director of operation, AC, something director of operation in FCT, not to investigate that very criminal, then who is going to help you implement your order? The point in it is this. The point I'm trying to make. If the executive can allow the judiciary to work freely, judiciary will do their best. But despite all the influence, we still want to encourage judges to put their feet down.
I would like to chip in something.
Just before you chip, I'll ask you this, then you say it together. He mentioned, and we've mentioned before, desperate politicians. Now, I noted it here. What, as a journalist, how or what should journalists do? Because we have investigative journalism. What should journalists do to will I now say, to expose these desperate politicians? Because they do most of their dirty works now out from the public. Now, what should the journalists do to help in this situation?
Thank you very much. In fact, Thank God you put that one. I really wanted to talk on that. But let me where Venerable was going.
Okay.
There is one aspect of it that we all miss in most cases in our public discussions, public discourse generally. Judges are not from the moon. They are not from this. They are not from. Okay. They are not from Nigeria. They are Nigerian. They are not from Mars. So the sociology, of the whole situation, we have to contextualize it rightly.
Yeah, the environment.
And this is it. I think on this, the first time I came, I made mention of that. Okay. One young guy who did not make his school cert became a local government chairman. And he's being paid more than the vice chancellor of of Premier University, ABU, Ibadan, and all the rest. So what are you talking about? Now the judge or the judges, they are part of us. They have public prayers. They have family prayers. They have religious prayers. They have group or gang prayers. Okay. And the salary is fixed. And one guy just came and said, "Okay, let's forget about this case. We are Nigerians. Okay. You may not be able to resist." But and then it comes back to journalism. And I don't want to really exonerate myself, but really, and I swear to God, I've not been really part of it. People, if you ask some people, they will know. Now, what happened to the journalists? I've been practicing for 32 years. Where are my big houses
and cars to show for it? You know.
Wow. In any case, my cars are even in Lagos. I'm in Abuja here. You know, trying to survive here. That's the truth. So if somebody comes and says that, well, do this dirty job, let me find you, like the late General Jogaba said, hungry. We are not hungry journalists. Let me find you 100 million. I think I may do it. And let me say why. I was with a former MD of Airways yesterday, and he was sincere. He walked straight, he got nothing. He said, "My brother, if I had the opportunity again, I would steer Nigeria dry."
You see that?
That's the thing.
That is the environmental
that's the sociology of it. So you can't exonerate, you can't bring out the judge out of the whole system.
It's part of the society.
The political, but let me tell you something, my brother. The political system has been so corrupted in this dispensation, especially since 2007. And it's not on this program, but I have, I write books and I'm putting something down on that later. I wish you will read.
All right, coming to election malpractice now. We're already closing the show, but I want to know, when there's a court verdict, like the situation in Osun, should there be a punishment at the first place for the malpractice at the first place? Should there be a punishment and who should be punished?
So let me take that. Okay. What of a senator that have been in the house for 2 years, and you now upturn and you bring another one? The money is collected, the fat money is collected, the cars and whatever. You won't do anything. The guy just goes and the other guy comes in. It's Nigerian situation. I don't know whether Venerable should or I really want to jump into that. So how do you resolve that? Somebody was there. He was even a governor mid term of something was removed. It happened in Ekiti, where I come from. What happened to the money the guy has collected? What happened to all the appropriations he has done in terms of giving money to this or that? What happened to the so-called security votes that you cannot even, it's for you, it's largest for you to spend anyhow in Nigeria? These are the issues.
Yeah, no, I think where it may be difficult to ask the person to refund those things. Let's use a senator, for example. INEC, who is the umpire, declared the person a winner and issued a certificate of return. And the person goes ahead and is officially sworn in. From the day you are sworn in, you are entitled to that office and all the requisites of that office. But if, unfortunately, along the line, a court says the process that brought you to be is flawed, go home. At best, you pack your things and get out. That is where it is difficult to say, bring those things back. But I thought what you were trying to raise was
whether it should be punished.
Who should be punished? Whether it is the umpire, because for instance, what happened in Osun now, it depends on what the PDP were able to lay on the table before the panel.
As evidence?
Yes.
Okay.
If that judgment they had now, the strong point is that the security agents on duty were the one who messed up the process. We should be thinking of what happens to the security men that were sent on national assignment and they were paid to ensure peace and that everything runs smoothly. For INEC, there's no way you can punish INEC because INEC only declare results based
on
information that is put on the table of the returning officer. So it's what they collect and put before him, he will use to do. So you cannot punish INEC. But for actors, political actors in the field, who committed one act of violence, committed arson, committed murder in some extreme cases, I think they should not be allowed to go free. See, the only remedy, the only way we can achieve peace is when we enthrone justice. And justice for me, by my simple definition, is giving to everyone his due. If you deserve to be punished, be punished. If you deserve to be commended, be commended. It's as simple as that. So any person found culpable and the person has committed crime, electoral crime, whether it goes beyond electoral crime, because when it comes to issue of murder, it has gone beyond just electoral crime. There are constitutional provisions to discipline such people. We must have the political will as a nation to see through that. And that is the only way to move forward.
I was going to ask a more direct question because we've had cases of looters being punished, whereby they are asked to forfeit their properties, return the amounts they have stolen. When an electoral process is flawed, like we've mentioned earlier, shouldn't everything be asked of the person in position, the person that was elected, like a senator or any political office now? Shouldn't him be asked to return everything he has?
I think what you are saying is conjectural, because he was trying to give us an idea of electoral law.
Yes.
It's not in any law. It's not in the amended constitution. It's not in electoral law. So unless you are now saying we should go for it, we should ask our legislators. In fact, honestly, what I think one thing that should be before these people is this electoral law, where they go come back. You've seen, we have the experience now. Then you have to be able to come. Not that you are saying honorable, you are talking about building schools and whatever. We know you have to be. Are you the one building the schools? I'm talking about education. There are certain laws that you have, because election is very key to our lives. It is there. Why was the presidential election so? Because everybody is affected. I'm here in my state. We're good. I have my people in my state. But at least that presidential everybody is. So if they can make laws that will affect the electoral process in such a way that it will be equity will be guaranteed, freedom will be guaranteed for you to express your opinion, your voting right, whatever. I think if they make it now an offense for you to even slap anybody at the polling, and maybe that when you pay $1 million and then you go to 2 years imprisonment, then people will begin to.
And I think Nigerians should begin to try to push for their own right.
Absolutely.
If I, as a citizen, goes to vote on election day and I'm qualified to vote, I have my PVC, and a security agent prevented me from going, I will sue the police to court. Yes, to let them explain to the world why, as a Nigerian citizen, I should be denied. Until we begin to do things like that, things will not go well. If you go to a polling booth on election day, and somebody who is operating in the name of a thug comes and slap you or use machete to chase you away, That is public assault. There's a law governing that. I, Unwanya, will not take that because it happened on election day. If ordinary threat to life with a text message can be taken to court and the person can be sent to prison, why must you come with a machete to harass me physically on an election day? After the election day, your trouble will start with me. Election day will come and go, but the following day, I will make sure you are arrested for threatening my life. So until we begin to demand for redress in every little matters like this, look at for it. If this man buys this wristwatch from Wuse Market today, and by tomorrow the thing stop working, if you take it back there, the way they will treat him will look as if he's a fool. For coming back to say this thing is not working, no one is concerned about his right that he paid more. We have I think Nigeria, somebody was telling me yesterday, is a jungle. Wow. So for now, but I just pray that with prayers, with enlightenment, things will be
get out of the jungle.
Let's get out of the jungle and this quagmire and move forward as a nation.
All right. I must say thank you very much, gentlemen, for sparing your precious time to be with us in the studio for today's program. And to our esteemed viewers, thank you very much for staying with us. This is much we can bring you on this week's edition. Whatever you find yourself doing, please ensure you do it well. And don't forget, your little contribution to the growth of our great nation matters a lot. Bye and God bless you.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and viewers and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the Anglican Cable Network Nigeria, ACNN.